Welcome to Slow Home. Too many people live in badly designed houses, and we want to change that.
This is day 121 of the Slow Home Project, and we need you to join us in our quest to evaluate the design quality of houses in 9 North American cities in 9 months. This week we're analyzing single-family houses in Miami, and today we're going to be doing an in-detail review of the indoor living question on the Slow Home test.
So what we've done is we've pulled some examples of houses that have both good indoor living spaces as well as poor indoor living spaces, and we're going to go through them and look at them in terms of 3 criteria. And the criteria have to be whether it's organized around a focal point, whether there is a proper place for a furniture grouping, and whether there's a good connection to the outdoors.
That's right, and this is a difficult question to answer because there isn't, unlike bathrooms and entries, there isn't a sort of really specific set of criteria beyond those, and there's lots of ways in which you can answer those in good ways, and even more ways in which you can do it in bad.
Yeah.
So you got one good example to sort of set us off.
I did find this example. I thought this was a really good example of a larger house that has 2 different living spaces, and I thought they were both fairly well done. I think the thing that's important to notice is that they both have a focal point. In this case, they don't have a fireplace because it's Miami, but they are focusing on a television. And the furniture grouping here is in the middle of the plan, allowing circulation both in the front and the back, as well as a view to the outdoors. And I think that works really well.
So what's interesting about that is you can see, because they've got the furniture, that the furniture set is almost a kind of compositional whole, isn't it? And then it's centered on the fireplace, and it kind of floats inside that bigger space, but it's grounded, isn't it? Maybe that's really the way to think about it.
Yeah, actually that's a really good, it is a good way to think about it. It is grounded, because in this example here, we've got the television here. The furniture here makes sense because it's actually pushed a little closer to the wall there, still leaving that zone of space in front of the glass and the window for you to walk around, still allowing the view to the outside if you want to.
That's right. I also think it's interesting in this plan is that those 2 living spaces are not oriented out to the view, they're beside the view. So in both situations, you've got one wall adjacent to you that is glass that you can look out to, but you're not just sitting in your couch looking out at the swimming pool.
And the other point to make is I think there's a comfortable amount of space all the way around the furniture grouping. They're not jammed up against a wall or anything. Like, you feel like they're actually very comfortably placed for the scale of them.
So that's a good example.
That is a good example. Now, unfortunately, there's some pretty poor examples. This is the example of where the living room is in the center of the plan. The problem with that, I mean, there is no focus, and there is no real ability to do any furniture grouping, and there's no view to the outside.
No.
So all 3 are a problem.
That's
I mean,
right.
the great room in the back, there is the possibility of creating a focus on this wall and creating a furniture grouping here with a view to the outside. So I would say that great room is not too bad.
That's right. And you're also, one half of that room is going to be dining as well,
Exactly.
right?
But I think for the slow home test, I don't think we could give this house the point because of that interior living space. Again, this is another very difficult family room
That's
shape.
a shape issue, isn't it?
It is a shape issue, but it also comes back to our 3 principles, because where are we going to make the focus? I mean, we have to do something against this wall. We're going to have the furniture grouping somewhere like this, but we've got a real awkward issue here, and we have to circulate in behind.
That's
it just feels like there's all of this leftover wasted space on the back side of that family room.
And then in the front, we've got the typical problem where the foyer is just a
change
mark
in
on the
tile,
floor,
yeah.
And so that space to the left, you're just not going to want to sit there, but that's where the window is.
Exactly.
So you've got this long, deep space that's actually got a fair bit of circulation in it as well.
Exactly, not very good. This is another really difficult plan, and part of the reason is because we've got this attached rear drive garage. Again, the family room, this back space, how would you furnish this? Because we've got a stairwell that comes here, a hallway here, 2 accesses here. Where's our focus going to be? If it's going to be here, then the furniture is going to have to be sort of arranged like this, which seems really tight and awkward all the way around. The front living room is not much better because we've got this diagonal line that really doesn't allow us to get...
and the entrance from the foyer directly in front of the windows. Yeah.
So I'm not sure where we would put a sofa. I challenge all the slow home viewers to try to furnish that front space.
And then the other thing, too, just to clear that off, I think, is there's a conflict between the access into the garage, which is a kind of secondary entrance condition, and the way to the outside.
Yeah.
So you really can't have much of a relationship.
No. It's a problem. This is also an issue. We've got a side yard condition with the living room with only one very small window and a big staircase that comes down. This wall would be our focal point. We're going to want to put our furniture grouping something like this, but it really makes the space all around it really awkward, and then the entry to the dining room is through there. The access on the back between the family room and the dining room is restricted by a shelf. It's difficult. It's a real challenge.
So last example?
Well, I don't think this one's so bad. I think
No.
that this is an example where you've got two spaces, a family room in the back and a living room in the front. I can imagine here that you could use that wall between those two windows as your focal point.
Yeah.
You could set your furniture grouping, something like that. You've got enough room to circulate behind and get outside, so I think that works. The front is a little bit more of a challenge, but I think, again, you could have a focal point here. You could put your two pieces of furniture like that. There's enough room for circulation there. It's a little bit of a tighter grouping.
It's not great, I have to say. I wouldn't give that front space a point, but the back one I like a lot.
Yeah, it's not great, but I think it's better than a lot of the front living spaces that we've seen.
Right. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
The indoor living is such a critical component of the
Well, it takes up
livability
so
a
much of the
house.
floor space, and it's such a major thing in the house.
And it's where you spend all your
I
time,
know.
right? So you really have to pay attention. As we can see, there's some problems. And Miami's not alone in having problems with indoor living spaces. So what we thought would be a good exercise for today would be to have the group go back into the Slow Home Project files and search around and find either a good example of an indoor living space or a bad example. Post it to the blog along with a comment about why you think it's good or bad, and we'll develop a kind of catalog of indoor living spaces for Miami.
Yeah, we're really interested to know what you guys think makes a good indoor living space and how you would score it on the Slow Home test.
Exactly. And tomorrow we're going to be doing the weekend review.
See you tomorrow.